Man, what the? Are you kidding? Jubilee did it again. They made a video with such a clickbaity title that I have to watch. 5 feminists versus 1 secret anti-feminist. Our job and the job of the people in this box is to figure out who is the secret anti-feminist. And knowing Jubilee, they're gonna be pretty sneaky about this, obviously, because that's kind of the point. So I'm gonna guess going in that it's gonna be fairly difficult maybe to identify who the anti-feminist is, but we're gonna see if we can guess who it is along with the people in the box.
I'm a feminist.
I am a feminist.
I'm a feminist.
I'm a feminist.
I'm a feminist.
I'm a feminist.
Okay, I'm getting nothing from any of these people so far. If I had to guess right now, I'm gonna guess that it's between the person in the top right corner in the white shirt and the person in the bottom left corner in the bluish shirt with the red orange undershirt. Those are my 2 preliminary guesses based off of nothing other than vibes and appearances so far.
How do we feel about women having rights?
Yes.
Fabulous.
Really cool thing.
Absolutely.
The more the merrier.
What would you say is the most feminist thing about yourself?
I believe women should be paid the same across the board, not just white women, but women of color. You can't be a person of color and not believe that women should have the same rights as I, as a black person. So that's why I'm a feminist. And I believe that feminism is about women being equal, period.
Emmett said something weird at the beginning.
How do we feel about women having rights?
The more the merrier.
Now he could just be making a funny little silly joke, but I don't know.
I think supporting women in all areas. So reproductive rights, work, pay rights, all that type of stuff. And I think being a voice for the ones that can't speak up, because I find myself getting into arguments with people because I'm like, I will really have this conversation with you. So I think just always supporting them no matter what.
My eye immediately went to Emma. I was like, that very much could be a conservative woman in this group.
Emma seems like a good candidate as well. I think my eye was right. She seems shaky, and she also went to something that was very rudimentary.
You said something about agreeing with women no matter what they do. I fully disagree. I feel like feminism, you have to hold women accountable. There are women like J.K. Rowling who leading and spearheading a transphobia movement in the UK, and you can't hide behind feminism when you were literally hurting women.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, Emma kind of went overboard with her support of women by saying that you should support women no matter what they do. And Emmett kind of pulls it back and says, well, we should hold women accountable when they do things that are unacceptable, like when they're transphobic or just bad people in general. Being a feminist doesn't mean you just give women a pass whenever they do anything. That's not how that works. So I'm more, at this point, zeroing in on Emma during round 1. Now, I don't know. She could just be nervous. She could just be out of her element a little bit, not used to being in front of cameras. Who knows? But at this point, she seems like she's the one.
What do men do in those situations?
Women a lot of time aren't taken seriously by men in the patriarchy. I think it's really important for us to let our voices be heard and uplift their voices.
Yeah.
Keep each other in check.
Yeah, allow a platform for women to speak, let their voices be heard, because that's the most effective way to dismantle ignorance.
His speech seemed very practiced or thought out. It didn't seem natural.
Yeah. Eric is kind of not convincing me either. Were you looking through 2014 Tumblr posts before you came through to the Jubilee set today? To say it in that way implies that it is men who are the arbiters of who gives the platform. So it's a little weird to frame it in that way, if you know what I mean. It's a little strange to say that we should allow women a platform so that we can all be less ignorant. A little strangely worded.
My work, all of leadership is all women.
Yeah.
And I feel the safest there compared to other workplaces where I've been kind of duking it out with the boss man kind of thing.
No, but as I've grown and educationally, now that I know women's roles, and so I agree with you with that assessment that women in leadership, it is just something about it. I feel safer too.
And I grew up with a family of brothers, so I was always having to fight to say anything, and also a Hispanic household, so a lot of times it was the woman's here to serve and all of that, and having grown up with that kind of mindset made me go the complete opposite. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, who are they gonna vote out? It has to be between the two people that I identified before we even started. It's gotta be between Emma and Eric. One of them is just very uncomfortable in front of cameras and doesn't know how to articulate their thoughts very well. And one of them is an anti-feminist. My guess at this point is Emma. Oh man, I don't know. But you know what? I'm locking in with Emma.
I think when people tend to use a lot of dictionary definitions, they were either studying up on it. I mean, you don't have to go Merriam-Webster on us and trying to explain it.
You know, Emma, she's a little too comfortable and uncomfortable at the same time, if that makes any sense.
Wait, Emma voted for Emmett? That makes me think that it definitely is her, because that makes me think that she does not understand these kind of conversations whatsoever. Being suspicious of Emmett seems strange in this scenario.
Good luck, everybody.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yep. I had a weird hunch that it was coming. I'm very formal. So that can make it seem like I'm kind of more nervous or more studied, rehearsed.
Okay, so Eric got voted out. I think it's Emma. I don't think Eric was a bad choice. You know, because his answers did seem rehearsed, but he could just be a feminist who is new to talking about feminism and is not very accustomed to speaking about it. Because I feel like a lot of people who would identify as feminists don't necessarily talk about their feminism in proper feminist terms, just in regular everyday conversation. Is kind of just a given in your everyday life for the most part. So I could see how, if you weren't practiced in this kind of dialogue, that this would be daunting for you, even if you did identify as a feminist. So, you know, could be him. It could be him. It honestly could be him, but I think it's Emma.
That's one of my biggest problems with like modern day feminism, is that it tends to center rich cis het white women, and I'm like, that's weird.
No, 100%.
How do you feel?
Well, yeah, I just want to see, because I was wondering, I don't know how the casting works. I don't know if there's any TERFs or SWERFs in the group, because I don't determine that to be feminism.
Slay.
Because like for me, trans women are women, so we should be protecting all women, not just cis women.
Okay, so at this point, I don't think that Sweeney and Emmett need to talk that much anymore to prove that they're feminists. I think they got it. Those two are 100% safe. We know it. I think the more times that they talk, the less time that we get to see who of the other three might not be. Specifically, just make Emma talk, especially about this topic. An anti-feminist could probably hide behind giving you some fake feminist rhetoric and making it seem like she's about empowering women, but I don't think she's gonna be able to do as good of a job making it seem like she is trans inclusive.
I have no problem with about sports and stuff, but I also don't want to silence the J.K. Rowlings of the world.
Oh no. I still think he's a feminist. This is a bad take. This is a really bad take.
To know your enemy, I want them to speak. That's how they used to do things in the old days. That's what the KKK does. They hide their face.
Sure.
I want to know who they are, and I want them to speak freely so you know who the enemy is.
Sometimes they get a little violent though, and it turns into other things.
I think I understand what you mean. Like you agree with free speech, but not to the point where it should like restrict someone else. Like you don't have
No, but I definitely want the J.K. Rowlings and the Marjorie Taylor Greens to talk. I want them to talk because I want to know who they are.
They sound so stupid.
Well, stupid, but you also want to know who they are.
Okay, I guess I understand his point, but I don't know. I still think that someone like a J.K. Rowling has had her time in the sun, and we don't need to hear her anymore.
Emma, what do you think? You haven't said anything.
I'm kind of like, I'm not against it. I'm not like so much. I feel like I don't have a clear answer, because with kids, like when you talk about kids doing it, I don't think with children, I think everyone should, everyone's the same, they have the same strengths and everything like that. But I think in professional sporting situations, I might need to educate myself more on this. So this might be what I need to come out of today and do. But I think trans women still have more strength than women. But even saying that, they're women, but I feel like it's not even exactly.
She compared trans women to women, referring to cis women as the women and like kind of then referring to trans women as not women. I was like, oh, it might be her.
Yeah, it's definitely her. It's definitely her, because she did make that comparison to like trans women and women, not qualifying the women as cis women, but just trans women and women. She was trying to be a little fancy with her point and say, well, you know, I'm not as well researched, and I think kids, that's fine. You know, she was trying to be agreeable with other people's points so that it wasn't as obvious that it's her, but it's definitely her. It's so obviously her.
Like they have an advantage, you would say?
Yeah, like a slight
Okay.
advantage.
It's really not, though. Most of the stories that you see about trans women competing in women's sports, they're very cherry-picked. People wait around for trans women to win events or place in events that they're competing in to say, look, a trans woman stole this event from real women, is the way that it's characterized. And they don't report on the hundreds of other events that trans women compete in and don't win or don't place, because it doesn't fit the narrative. The amount of times that trans women compete in athletic events and place or win those events is infinitesimal to the amount of times that they're actually just competing in the events and not winning anything. And it is a non-starter. It is a huge non-starter. You know, because one of the main stories that everyone has heard about is the story of Leah Thomas, the trans swimmer who has won or placed in a couple of events at the college level. Do you think that she is going to beat cis woman Katie Ledecky in a swimming event who has set and broken her own record in whatever event she specializes in like 16 times in a row? I don't think so. Literally the last time that she competed in an event, you can look this up, Katie Ledecky, like last week, finished and waited around for like 20 seconds for someone else to finish. She is untouchable.
A lot of people get mad at trans women in sports when in reality, majority of trans women that compete in sports currently aren't doing that well. It's not like there's like a crazy big advantage. A lot of them are on hormones for like a long time. Like it's even gotten to the point where we're trying to make cis women who have high testosterone way lower.
So it's a regulated thing.
And that is the other point as well that Sweeney brought up. There have been instances where cis women have been banned or disqualified from events for having testosterone levels that were considered too high when they are cis women, because of this fear-mongering that's been going on about the competitive advantage that trans women would have in these events. And so not only are you saying to these trans women that they can't compete, you're also saying to a lot of times marginalized cis women that they also can't compete because you have deemed their femininity to be too masculine as well.
Well, and a lot of times, let's just call it what it is. It's about people's religion. It's about your ideology, your religion.
Yeah.
And which, again, you know, has no place in.
They're shielding their hate.
Yeah, because Jesus said so.
Okay, they all got to be voting out Emma here.
Not so much what he was saying or stating, but the fact that he was just giving me information overload. I was like, you kind of distracted me from what we were actually discussing.
When the question of sports came up, Emma immediately kind of withdrew. And also, like, as a trans person, I'm just immediately like, that's suspicious to me.
Okay, so they all voted for her. It was her the whole time. It was her the whole time. I'm ready for the review.
If you think the mole could still be in the box and you want to continue playing the game, please raise your hand.
Sweeney, you got him. It was definitely one of those two, and it was almost certainly Emma.
The light turns green. That means you have voted out the mole and you all win.
It better turn green.
If the lights turn red, that means the mole is still in the box and you lose. 3,
That's weird.
2, 1.
Let's go.
They got him. Now, let's see who the mole was.
May the mole step forward in 3, 2, 1.
Step right up, whoever it is.
thought, yeah.
There is no mole.
Yeah.
Man, what the? Are you kidding? So the mole chickened out and they decided to just throw in some random other person. I guess that would account for the uncomfortability factor that one of the two people that they voted out was facing. But Emma is a TERF. She is a TERF. This sucks. Jubilee, you shouldn't have published this video. You should have just, you know, reshot it with different people. Whatever. I know you're probably on a content schedule, but get out of here with this.
I think it's an interesting social experiment to see infighting even within these groups. Getting a bunch of feminists in the room and seeing who points to another one and say, I don't think you're a feminist. Extremely interesting to me. And also extremely interesting that I was the first one out.
Well, it's not really like just infighting when there's someone who's literally like a trans exclusionary feminist in the group, especially when there's trans people in the group who are identifying as feminists and there's someone who's like, I don't think trans women should compete in women's sports. That's a pretty big like moral conflict. To just be like, well, there's infighting. Well, yeah, because like you're kind of challenging someone's identity, existence.
I think walking away from this, I really want to educate myself more on transgender women. That's something I've learned.
You cannot be about democracy, equality, freedom, and all this stuff, and then sit up here and have barriers in place for somebody because of their gender.
Well, that sucks, Jubilee. That sucks. At least you gave them all money. I don't appreciate Eric's preachiness at the end. You were being weird, and Emma was being weird and turfy. Jubilee really clickbaited me with this one. But nobody would have watched this video if it would have just said 6 feminists, odd one out, because there is no odd one out, it's just 6 feminists. Whatever. If you made it this far in the video, thank you for watching. Make sure, if you haven't already, like and subscribe. Let me know if there's anything that you want me to talk about or watch or react to. And we will be back soon. See ya.